Southern California, the birthplace of beach volleyball. And this is Venice Beach and its world-famous boardwalk. But today on Prime, we have something a little bit different. Because just 1 mile inland, in the backyards of Harding Avenue, it's the legendary Shasta Venice Backyard Championships, presented by Paul Mitchell. Prime presents the Shasta Venice Backyard Championships. A beautiful day in Southern California for volleyball, right in your own backyard. Hi everybody, I'm Denny Lennon.
Sports Stories with Denny Lennon aims to bring its subscribers interesting, unique, and uplifting stories. You can find us at sportsstoriespodcast.com. We drop video, audio podcasts every Thursday and go live at 5 on Facebook 4 nights a week. That's Sports Stories with Denny Lennon.
I'm finding it, so you guys check for just a minute. It's going to be.
Hey, everybody. Welcome day after Memorial Day, VBC special. We got the one and only Box Cobbler as a producer tonight. We'll bring him in shortly. We do want to say we remember all of our veterans that died in active service on Memorial Day. So that's why I got the flag flying. And let's see what's up this week on Sports Stories with Denny Lennon. Coming up tomorrow, part of our Vault series where we go deep beneath the Sentinel Adobe and into their catacombs to pull out our vault. Jared Goff, Klay Thompson, Russell Westbrook. You know each of them, I'm sure. That's Marin Catholic. Jared, Klay played at Santa Margarita High School. And Russell, right near here, not too far, Lusinger High School, right near here in Lawndale. All three of them, we got exclusive high school footage on them and then interviews with them while they're in high school. So that's our Vault series. Hopefully you'll join us on our Wednesday show, which is High School to Olympian. Thursday, we drop part 3 of our interview with Wayne Boley, former Loyola University standout athlete, distinguished law career leading to the eventual defense of Loyola Marymount in the Hank Gathers case. It's a really interesting story. He dives deep into that, and that's dropping on Thursday, a video podcast. That right there is Dan Coonan. Many of you may remember him. He actually played in a couple of VBCs. Dan Coonan has led a life in athletic administration at different universities, but he's also written a book called Presidential Spirits. It's an excellent book. It's kind of a Field of Dreams, Midnight in Paris type of theme with all of the presidents convening in a saloon. It's actually nothing short of awesome. About halfway through it, and I can't wait to have him on the show. So that's coming Friday night. We also got a late commitment. That's the book right there. Got a late commitment now. We didn't even have time to get his picture up, but it's Brendan Aja Benet. I'll learn by Friday. Aja Bendejo. So Brendan played at UCLA, won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, and he'll be on our show. He's a staunch fighter for equal rights and a really solid guy, part of the Orange Theory Fitness team that is putting out all of those franchises. So Brendan, UCLA, Ravens Super Bowl title. He'll be on Friday night, and that should be some fun. Hey, proud of my boy, Dan Coonan. As I said, he played in his share of VBCs. He also took a second at the Chris Crawford spinoff. Okay, I think it's time to bring in Ray. Yeah, let's bring in the producer of this week. There he is, the one and only Box Cobbler. Hi, Ray. Let's get you off of mute. There you are.
Yeah, hey, just go get my dry cleaning. After that, then come back. Okay, I'm ready. Woo! What's going on?
High-level producer.
You know how it goes. You produce. Hey, I just want to let everybody know that today's topic is going to be about some of the best B players that I think all three of them won a championship, and we'll just dive into a little bit about them. It's not all of them. It's a couple of them. Some that I thought could. That I thought were basically the best, as you say.
All right, fair enough. Before we do that, Christine, why don't we celebrate with our margaritas and thank Gilbert's El Indio, our sponsor of the show. So to Gilbert's, woo! To Gilbert's, and Ray is working out of the adjunct part of the 7428 compound, and that's why, because Ray's a producer, we got to cash in on Ray's big time status and score a little Gilbert's. So we're pumped about that. Ray, I think we are going next to, what are we going next to?
The Gilbert's commercial.
Okay, let's give him some Gilbert's commercial, Ray.
Okay, let's do it.
Gilbert's in Santa Monica. Gilbert's El Indio in Santa Monica. Family owned. Mexican food. Margaritas. Guacamole. Cerveza. Gilbert's in Santa Monica. Gilbert's El Indio in Santa Monica. ¿Me puedes dar una margarita, por favor, señor? Oh,
Doing the commercials and producing.
Start again.
Oh, you had
The
me
Box
muted.
Cobbler Entertainment, come in.
Yeah. Yes, no doubt, Cox Fobler. Yes, you're doing great. Do you want to talk to, you want to start the show? Because I think we're all the way down to number 10 there.
Yes, I'd love to start the show. And I did a little thing that goes with the theme of the show. If you could, Christine.
Oh.
I'm your king bee, baby. Buzz ya all night long. I'm your king bee, baby. Buzz ya all night long. Let me in your house, girl. I'll build you a honeycomb. Yeah, I'm your bee, baby.
I like it, Ray. Wow. I don't know how you get all this production done.
I didn't play very well on my side, so hopefully it went all right.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Let's see. What are we doing? Okay. So the first B player that I'd like to talk about, or I probably won't, but I'd like to bring on Danny Boley and Kevin Lennon, if they can come up.
No.
And
I think I might be going to a Pitbull video. Is that what you wanted to do first?
we could do that first. Yeah, let's do that. It's about the pit bull, and let's bring that on.
Let's show a little Pitbull, and then bring your boys on.
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna kill a couple seconds here. Right?
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about the pit bull. Basically, probably one of the best B players to ever play at the VBC.
Well, it's hard to argue against two championships, right? You know.
All right, I'm muting you.
Partner, one of the most famous players in the BBC, Mark the Pitbull, Biblical Calves, Lennon. This is the finals of the 12th annual BBC.
All right, I am pumped up. I don't know about you, E.
I think this has got to be an exciting match for everybody. They've got a good crowd. People are excited to watch. They've been playing all day, waiting for this moment.
All right, so the game's to 9. Coming out of the contenders bracket, it's Mike Boley and Tiffany Carrillo. Out of the winners bracket, David Schwaddick and the Pitbull, Mark Lennon. So 6, we got championship point.
Oh, wait a minute. This is a big moment in BBC history.
It's championship point right here for David Schwaddick and the Pitbull. And the backyard crowd is on their feet. Mike Boley picks it up. Carrillo sets him. Boley down the line. What a dig by Pitbull. It's in! No, wait a second. Arcade. No touch. No touch at the net. Yes, indeed. Point The dig from the Pitbull means that Mark Pitbull Lennon and David Swadek are the 1995 champions.
These are the things I would do with nothing to lose. Yeah, these are the...
Can you hear me? How you guys?
Hi, Ray.
I can't.
Hi, Ray.
I don't know. Hi, there you go. Hi,
Ray.
how you doing? So, Danny,
Yeah.
I know that he is one of your favorite uncles, and I just thought that maybe there you go. That maybe you would love to talk about him and how, you know, what a great player he was and what a great B he was.
Yeah, wait. Well, it's nice of you to want to make me cry at the very beginning of the show to talk about he's my cousin, by the way, but
Cousin, sorry.
No worries. But yeah, super. I mean, you look at what he stood for. I believe, and Kevin can confirm this when he comes on, but he wasn't a volleyball player. He was an athlete. He was a 4th degree, 5th degree black belt. He knew where to be, when to be. He kind of had those reactions of what it would do to, like he would call it a parry or a cobra or a, you know, you do that. Like he knew where to be at any given time, whether it was in karate or any athletic activity he was doing. But I wouldn't say he was a volleyball player per se, but he was an athlete. And in that court, in those surroundings where your A can cover most of the court, he had 2 jobs to do. And that was play behind David in that game that we were watching and just get the ball up to him. And I mean, even that last dig, like it just looked so good. It looked athletic. It didn't look like someone that never played the game as he was growing up, and which he didn't play. He knew it. He just never played it.
He's an athlete. He could pick up on it. Yeah.
Correct. And he goes so much farther back with me as it relates to living with him and the travels from Tahiti to Australia and Costa Rica that I did with him. And I have so many more stories from that. And it's a little bit too emotional for me to talk about him, man. But he's one of the best guys best family members I've ever been around. And sure has taught me a lot. And at the same time is one of the funniest guys to be around. Living with him forever with me and Kevin. So it's tough to have him not with us anymore. He died way too young. He passed away way too young. But I always celebrate him. He's next to my bed every day. I have a picture. Obviously, I keep this next to me. But he's all time, man.
Nice. Sorry. Yeah, nice.
Hey,
Mike.
Ray.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, just before you got to MB, because I know MB's got his own feelings, but I wanted to echo something Danny said. You know, Pitbull once had a very strong conversation with me at a party when I was coaching a lot. And he always said, you always judge yourself by the weakest of your players as how good of a coach you are. And I use that as like a maxim for the rest of my life. And I always taught my own coaches the same thing. You judge yourself by the weakest of your players. And by that, I mean, like, can that player go in and make a contribution? Did you spend enough energy to make the least among you feel part of the team, part of the process? Were they strong? And that's something I learned from him and never lost track of it. Pitbull was that kind of guy. He was always looking out for everybody.
Yeah. So, Mike, I had a conversation with you, and this is why I brought the Pitbull first, because it seems like that's the kind of player you were talking about to me. Can you explain your reasoning of what kind of B player you wanted or you seeked out, or if you got lucky enough to get? I'm sure he would have been one of the guys you would have been happy getting.
No. I'm just kidding. He was he was older than us. Obviously, Danny hit it on the head. He was, he lived with Danny, but he was never sad or angry. He was always happy. He was just there wasn't a day where, he scared the crap out of me in our annual Turkey Bowl games because he was the linebacker, and I only knew him as cousin Mark. At the time I was a 17, 18-year-old kid coming in, but he let me know about it too. He gave me a little cheap shot and then welcome to the Turkey Bowl, that kind of thing. And we became pretty tight. Not as tight as Kevin and Danny, but like I have to reiterate what Danny said. He's gone way too soon, and just a joy to be around. And I've got some great stories too to tell about Mark. But yeah, I think it just goes to tell you how special the VBC was, because you take a guy like Mark and you put him with a guy like David Swadek, and he wins the VBC. He won it twice.
Right.
Mark played volleyball. He wasn't a volleyball player. He was an athlete, like DB said. But there were two types of B players, maybe even three. But there were guys, the Bs, that no one knew who they were or never played the game before. And then there was the Bs who had experience. And the experienced Bs, Ray, I'll use you, I'll use Kip, I'll use Kevin Lennon, Tony. Those guys had experience. They had played the game somewhere. Right. And I would say that 50 to 60% of our Bs had played the game. So when you got a B player like that, for me as an A player, Denny, you guys can speak for this. You had to work, but not quite as hard, But when you had some Bs that never had played before, you had to really refocus your mental game, because I knew the court really well because I had played it so many times. And Denny and Danny, again, you guys can attest this. I knew where to put my B that never played for it. Michael Blazer is a great example of that. My cousin, he'd never played volleyball before. He wasn't a big volleyball guy. He was scared to death. But when you have a player like one of us that can consistently get him the ball, Danny said it early again. There's two things he needs to do. He just needs to set the ball in the right area, and we take care of the rest, and plays defense behind your block. There's more to it, but it wasn't as easy. Like people think, oh, you had this partner, you had this partner. It's like, I can't believe I won with Michael Blazer at times. I look at teams. I look at Michael Lennon and Mike Sanders. Like, they won.
They won it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was tough. I mean, there was a handful of kids or guys, B players, that just didn't know what they were. They've never played before.
Right.
Sunshine Moy and Owen McKibben.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, that was gnarly. He took a fifth.
Yeah.
Like that made his day. Yeah. Those made Sunshine's day. Like he felt so important, and he loved being with Owen, which was great. Owen made him feel comfortable, but that's what happens. It changed some lives of some of these guys. I think. I really do.
Right.
Hey, Ray, you know what? Sometimes we leap forward. We forget that some people may be new to this. I just wanted to make sure we put some context around it. That we in effect rank the top half of the players A and the bottom half of the players B, and then would do a draw where they would get randomly matched up the night before. And so the Bs sometimes took on different levels, but that was roughly the plan. And I just want everybody to understand when we're saying what a B player is. That's what a B player was. It was maybe on the bottom half.
And Danny, how were they picked?
No.
How were they picked?
They were picked by you. There was a box A and a B, and you were in charge, and we'll always hold you to that. And you made the great box, and that's why you got called the box cover.
Don't get me started on the box, Ray.
I know. One thing I want to say about Pitt, Ray.
Yes, sir.
And Michael and Michael Lennon now, but Mark Lennon, and you know this from guys like Jordan and Kobe, but he wasn't afraid to lose. I don't know if you understand that phrase, but he lived in humbleness of like, hey, if I lose, it's because it was my fault. Like I lived a lot. I was like, oh, I hope I don't lose this point, or oh, I hope I don't. He didn't live his way of life like that. He lived his way of life like, I'm going to beat this guy. I'm going to win. And if I don't, it's okay. So that's part of the game. How we play it nowadays is being confident. And he had all the confidence in the world, and no matter what he did and where he was.
Right. Wow. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Ray. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I was wondering if we all should be as close as you are tonight.
I can't help it.
Come
I
on,
don't know
guys,
what
let's
you
all
guys-
move in.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong that everybody else is doing right.
No, I'm
I
kidding. You're so handsome with that hat on and everything. It looks actually quite good.
Is there anything you'd like to bring about your cousin?
Well, I got to tell you, I've been digitizing some of the old footage that we had from 87, 88, and Pitbull's. I have the video of him with the dog chain and the dog collar on.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
I like Danny, just literally just tearful eyes watching this stuff and just going, oh my God, the guys are going to freak out when we get to, his interview before he hands over the King's, the throne to Michael Blazer. It's like, he says something like, I've been told I only have 45 minutes for this. So it's like, stuff like that. You have no idea where it comes from. And then he ends up being totally gracious at the same time, though. He's not he's not making fun of Michael Blazer or anything like that. He's totally gracious once he hands it over. But, he gives you, you get your money's worth when you include him in anything.
Right. Nice. So I'm stuck here for a second.
All right. I think Kevin's coming over here because he can't get his computer up.
Who is coming over there?
I think Kevin's coming to my house because he can't get his computer up.
Okay.
And he really,
I'd really like to hear what Kevin has to talk about because I know they were very, very close.
Yeah,
right?
they were. Kevin and Danny and Pitbull were the Three Musketeers.
So Ray, Danny and Michael were A players too, right? You guys were all A players.
Yeah, they were A players.
You asked me the question, which I'm sorry I lost track, but it was like, what was going through your mind when your name was called as the A? Like, who'd you want to go? It was always great if I got someone who knew how to play the game, but it was also cool if I got someone who didn't know how to play the game because I knew that I had to change my mental approach. That's all it was. I never thought, oh, rotten, I got him or I got her, or it was always just. It was actually kind of exciting, And, when you got the guy, if I got a Kevin Lennon or a Kippy or a Ray Castro or Billy, that was just icing on the cake for me. But, part of me wanted to make these guys, I wanted them to have a fun time too. That was as competitive as I was. I also wanted them to be, I wanted them to have fun in this tournament. If it was the first time for them playing, Tim Madison, Michael Blazer, those guys, didn't have a lot of experience.
Gotcha.
So,
Kevin,
how you doing,
buddy?
It was cool.
Oh, can you hear? Oh, I have to unmute, right, Mike?
No, you're good.
Okay. Can't tell how loud I'm talking. I'm at Michael's house with earbuds in. It's very state of the art in here. My computer didn't work. Sorry, I'm late, guys. Hey.
Hi, Kev.
What are you talking about?
Hey, Kev.
I hope you guys have social distancing.
So, Kevin.
Mike and I are the same person.
We started the show off talking about the legendary Pitbull. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So Danny was talking about him and Mike, and I don't know. I just want to know anything you'd like to add to. I know you weren't here to what they might have said an antidote about him or something. Maybe about the VBC. Him in the VBC.
Well, he loved the tournament. He just thought it was the best thing in the world, and it was right up his alley because for him to be able to get to play competitive volleyball and be a B, so he didn't have to hit spike and block the ball. He's such an athlete that was just perfect for him. Like he knew his role, and that's why he was such a good B player because he 100% could just step right in and take over the game by just playing great defense. Doesn't make a lot of errors, and when he does, he's so upbeat. He gets to see his partner in the game, and he loved the BBC. Man, oh man, he loved it.
How many did he play in? How many did he play in?
Oh no, he played more than that. Well, do you think he just won every one?
I don't remember. I remember David Swadek, and who was his other partner? Oh, Sean Davis, right? Was his other partner?
Sean Davis
played with Sean. No. Sean played with it. He played with Fallowfield and won it. He played with Swati and won it.
Yeah.
But, he for sure played at least 3 years. Yeah. I want to say, wasn't
he had the
only
background?
Did he win it twice? Did he?
No, he won it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
But he also
I'll tell you who one of his partners was. He had another good partner. He played with Wally Goodrick, and we stayed up all night the night before. Remember Wally Goodrick?
Yeah,
that's right.
Because if you don't forget, back in the early VBC, Pitbull lived behind Aunt Sis's house at Queen Isabella's court. He lived in the guest house. So we did the drawing that night, and then there's a big party that went into Pitbull's house, and him and Wally didn't get much sleep. And neither did I.
That sounds.
And I don't know who else was there. One of you guys, maybe. DB.
I was there for sure.
Remember
that back room, Kev?
I'm sorry.
Remember his room? It was so dark in there, but remember?
Oh yeah.
Was it did he have a water bed, or was it? He had.
He did. He had a water bed
and that sheet, that flannel sheet on top. Oh man.
Yeah.
I could see it.
He never changed the water, and he never changed the sheets.
So good.
Wow.
I think the hardest, Kev, living with him after he won it, and he kind of always would play on us a little bit. I think you had won it before him, I believe, but I remember him always saying like, "Hi, you guys don't have two of these," or he always was one of those guys, Or
oh yeah, no.
Did he win? Did he win two of them before Mike?
No, he didn't. But he won 2 and a king. He's only got to do that.
Yeah.
So nobody went 2 and a king. Kevin, just one note of protocol. You're going to want to lean in a lot on the camera tonight. It's kind of it's a thing.
How's that?
There you go. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I just got here. I'm at Michael's house. I'm, this is kind of naughty.
Yes, I get it. But this is what we do.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, Ray.
Yeah.
You asked the question like to Michael about B's and A's, and if I were to get Pitbull, to be honest with you, or someone of that stature, I don't think I would have had to get a lot of luck, because I'm not one of the guys that I was good. And later on, as the VBC went, I needed you, I needed Kippy, I needed Kevin, I needed Tony, I needed a B that can not only just do 2 things, but do maybe 4 things.
Right.
And so I probably couldn't have won it with Pitbull. But I would have known that I would have had someone that has the heart.
You'd have a chance. You'd have a good chance.
Correct. But I would have had the heart of the lion on my squad.
Right. Absolutely. Hi, Kip. Welcome to the show. I can't hear you.
Hold on.
Can't hear you. I'm picking up some noise. I can't hear you, Kip.
Sounds like the tubes.
Kip?
There I am. Okay.
Hi, Kip.
Hi.
We just finished talking about Pitbull.
I was watching the whole thing. I just couldn't. Okay. I couldn't sign on for some reason. Now I'm signed on.
No worries. Do you want to add something, or?
Of course. I mean, you could go on forever with Pitbull.
Right.
Because he, when we were growing up, he was an all-star football player, and he lived in Orange County. He lived out near Anaheim, so we didn't see him very often. But we knew that there were 3 star football players in our family. There was my brother Dan, and Pitbull, and eventually Tony Lennon as well. And they were the 3 and TR back in the day, but we weren't around for that. I was too little to really experience that part. So whenever Pitbull would come around, we didn't call him Pitbull then, we just called him Big Mark. He would come to some family thing. Once every couple of years we get to see him. Or my dad would say, "Let's go watch Mark play." And we would go watch him play in an all-star football game or something. And he was such a rock star in our house when he would show up. And, and it didn't matter where he went in the world, he was that kind of guy. He was just charming and exciting to be around, and he was always positive, and he always had a little private joke with you. He had a nickname for everybody, and he had a little thing. He remembers where you left off on whatever the hell conversation you had 2 months before. He'd go "If you remember that guy," or whatever, It didn't matter what it was. And he brought that to the BBC. So it wasn't just that he was a good athlete and all those other things. He brought joy to the BBC as well. I mean, everyone was joyful in different ways, but he had a specific
I remember him he was always in a great mood. I know in football games he could get mad, not like mad, but you could tell. You know, you just tell.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to answer this question, but before I answer this question, I wanted to remind Kip that when I played football at St. Bernard High School, I once had 2 tackles for losses in a game and caught a 2-point conversion. So if you wanted to open up your canon of football players, I once had a 2-point conversion that I caught and then had a couple of sacks.
Kevin, did you know Denny played football?
So I wanted to answer the question that's on the screen.
Like flag, was it flag?
On the screen, which cousin shared the same birth year and the throne with Mark Pitbull? I can answer that because that was 1986 when Barbara Barnes was named the queen of the VBC, probably sharing the throne with Pitbull before he won his championships in 1986. He won the king title, and that year a team went undefeated. I hate to keep talking about myself here, but myself.
Well, we don't have to, Denny. We can talk about the next guy coming up.
Went 5-0 that day, and so Ray, I think it's time to throw it to our next. So let's go, Ray.
Let's go with our next guest, if we can, Christine.
Hey,
Tony.
Hey guys,
how you doing, Tony?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I want to thank you, Ray, for having me on. First off,
well, thank you. So, Tony, you were one of the best B players in the tournament, and I just want to know if you and Denny want to reminisce about your guys' run.
I have plenty of good thoughts, and one of the things I remember most is Denny allowed me, as you could see in some of the footage of Pitbull and the other Bs, positioned right up by the net to set. But Denny actually allowed me to take serves occasionally, which also allowed him to not have to cover as much. But I think a lot of the conversation going on right now about what I did bring, I couldn't agree more with Pitbull and why he was a very good B. It was athleticism and quickness and all. I had a little bit of experience too, so Denny would put up a great block, but when someone would try to dink or shoot the ball deep, a lot of times I could help read that, and so we really. I don't know, Den. I just don't remember being pressed that hard. We really punished at will, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I would agree. First, 86. Tony, don't forget, this is a very acceptable form of speaking tonight if you'd like to lean in. And yeah, it's kind of fun, I found out. And yeah, Tony, we ran through it at 5-0. But I think you're one of the players that is of interest in the B ranks that went from an A to a B. And I didn't realize that because I was digging into some of the archives and I found, I think you played one year, it would look like Danny Guerrero to me. And you might've played and you were the A, but we had, A's that would transition to B as the field got stronger.
As I got older.
Stronger place. Or yeah, that's fair. And I just remember being so stoked when your name came up and we both went, okay, time to make our run and etch our name in history.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, do you think that you playing football helped in,
very little. I think actually it was more, we all grew up playing with our families in our own backyards or front yards, or, you always, even football, we'd play on the smallest areas and create creative plays and everything. And so I think learning how to play backyard volleyball helped huge. And I think I also, I played at Santa Monica College a year co-ed. I could serve a little, so that helped on the backyard, because if you can serve tough to good teams, that helps really win some points. So that helped us out.
Tony, we also sorry, Ray. Tony, we also were on one court the whole day, and I'm sure you remember. I think it was a 7 a.m. start and a midnight finish, but playing a 32-team double elimination tournament on one court. That court went from nice grass in the morning with a little bit of dew on it to
Wimbledon. It looked like Wimbledon. Yeah, it went from a nice Wimbledon grass court to the worn, burnout stuff. But Denny, you played. I think I got you also at your peak. I think you were at the top of your game, which really helped. You were just hammering balls off people. I remember that. That was great.
To do that now.
No, I just remember second I got Tony, I was like, okay, we got this. We're gonna take it.
Yeah, I remember picking those names and going, oh man, this is gonna be a great team. That's a good team.
I have something to add about Pitbull. You guys talked, Danny, and everybody had such great. Kevin had such great comments. His that ability to not care about winning, or calmness. I vacationed with Mark, and there were so many times when he was calm under pressure, and it could be a real asshole of a guy that was trying to put pressure on us. And I don't know if you remember things like this, Kevin, but he would just be so calm, and you felt so good with him because he could put anybody down as quick as he wanted to, whenever he wanted to. But he also had that funny. When we traveled, Kevin and I went snow skiing with him and a friend of his name, Matt White, I think his name was White. Anyways, and Mark planned this thing out where when Kevin and I opened the door to our room to go into our room when we were staying, Mark had water that tipped over onto us, and he laughed for a day and a half. It just was his personality. He was such a great, funny guy, but a great competitor too.
That is hilarious.
Hey, Ray.
Yes.
Our director, Christine, just came up with a good idea about putting the three brothers that have won a VBC championship on the same screen for a second. So me and you are just going to act for a second, then we're going to bring in Mike Lennon if we can. Can we do that? Or maybe they just cozy up, those two. Kev?
Yeah, you can take me out.
We're not. You stay. Okay.
I'll do a little filler here. So when I was last in LA, Kevin and I hit Gilbert's for a little to go, and it was absolutely legendary. The parking lot was packed. People were so upset that Kevin and I got there, went straight in, got our food, and left in front of everybody. Some guy yelled out, is there a line here? And the girl said, these guys cut right in front of me. But Gilbert's takes care of us. What's up, brah? I can't hear you. Can you guys hear me? Uh-oh.
Christine's got you unmuted on our side, Kev, or Mike, if you want to unmute yourself on yours. It could be the AirPods. Not sure. Oh, it's the Vector. Got it. Okay.
So I'm good, right?
You're good, Tony. You're golden. All right, let's bring back in our producer. Where's our producer?
He's coming.
There he is.
Hey, Cox Bobler.
Hey. I thought you guys were coming in to talk or something. You just wanted to show up.
I want to say one more thing. Denny, you pointed out the you're only judged by your weakest player. Was it you that brought that up? Okay. So I never heard that from you guys before, but that's how I coached my whole life. I always felt I was going to go for my worst player, and if I could make him happy and good, as good as possible, it only elevated our team. And I'll remember a story. We had my son Connor, who was a brilliant soccer player growing up, and this other kid. They would score all our goals, but we said to them, we want to see how many kids on this team you can get goals, you can share the ball with. And we got this one kid who had a heart condition. His younger brother was an incredible athlete, and he just was okay. But we got him a goal, and his parents and he cried and celebrated. it made my coaching career so good.
And behind how beautiful that is for that kid and his family, it creates such a terrific dynamic on a team, because the team then buys into you as a coach, or what makes the team a team, which is everybody, having their moment to contribute and shine. And so it raises all levels. And that was something that that's certainly something that MB knows about.
I bet MB knows about. This team I'm talking about was 10-year-olds. So we had 8 kids on that team score goals, which is really rare for 10 years old in soccer. You just typically get a kid or two that scores all the goals. So it was really fun. Mike, have you had times like that where you've had kids that you picked up?
Yes. It's what so the first day of practice is 45 minutes of my talk to the guys. Denny Vaughn can attest to that, but it's basically, you treat the 16th guy just like you treat the number 1 guy. They're all one, and when you get a cohesive unit, good things are going to happen. Everybody's got to buy in. And if you don't have, I always preach too, the guys that are on the bench, those are my most important guys. The guys that are playing, I know they're going to get it done, but the guys that are on the bench that are not engaged or they are engaged, that's going to get us to the next level, because they're showing the support. That's tough to do when you're sitting on a bench, watching your peers play, 2 or 3 sets in a match. That's hard, And so I credit a lot of the guys that are behind the scenes on our success, and I make sure that they are aware of that. But I 100% agree.
EB, you do that. You try to do that with Quinn too. Try to get them to acknowledge kids that are just part of the team that aren't the stars.
Absolutely, it's very, 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 very important, especially getting them young to understand that. Because so many kids are they're different. The talents are different at different levels, and some of those kids just take off, and it's all me, 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 me. And when you're playing in a sport like baseball or basketball, where it's a team sport, you have to get them to kind of, hey, let's take care of these guys, because they're going to be our supporters and they're going to take care of us. And
it's hard though too when you guys talk about your soccer teams and baseball teams at that age, because I coached all my boys. They don't understand. Like, they were the guys that were hitting home runs or pitching, and when you tell them, they have to give them, you have to get them to understand how to do that, because at that age, wait, Dad, I'm scoring all these goals, and it's hard. It really is.
We had a good Tony. We had a pretty good locker room, that 1986 team of yours and mine. We were pretty solid. I'd like to give you the credit for running a good locker room. Made sure everything stayed on the and luckily we had my room to convene in, which gave us a small advantage. But I would say that we had good team chemistry.
Yeah, that was easy to mix with you. Very
good. Where did you guys move the final?
I think we played Loreno, but that's just a guess.
Doesn't matter. It was just one of those years, Mike. It didn't matter.
That's so good.
Hey, I want to bring up a really, you guys talked a lot about Pitbull and the calmness that it takes, and most athletes that have that in any given time or in an exciting moment, to be calm, because that's when you flourish the most. We were out at spring break in Palm Desert, and Pitbull was with us, and he had always taught me at the house that my biggest weapon is not my hands, because of the black belt. It's how I can talk my way out of it before I have to fight. He never wanted to fight before he wanted to talk his way out of it, because he knew the more he talked to this guy, the scarier this guy was. Like, oh my God, this guy's nuts. Like, okay, maybe he really knows what he's doing, because most guys just want to get into it. So we were with Kevin Lennon at the Red Onion in Palm Desert, and it was spring break, and it's crowded, and all of a sudden I get word, and I say, Pitt, Kevin's out in front, gonna get in a fight with a guy. And he runs out there, and there's a huge circle already around, and Kevin's squaring off. Kevin was a karate guy too. I forget what the guy's, Mr. Lee or what was the guy's name, Kev? Mr. Han? No, whatever it was. I went to watch him a lot. And so Pitbull gets in, and before Kevin can get a shot in, he goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he always kept him at arm's distance, because he knew that's how far the guy had to reach. So he always kept him just far enough, to parry a block or something. So he goes, oh, what's going on? And the guy explained, this guy and my girlfriend and da-da-da-da-da. And he goes, okay. He goes, so what are you going to prove by being this guy? So all of a sudden it's 5 minutes and everyone wants to fight, And he's talking for 5 minutes. Da-da-da-da-da. And he goes, okay, so what? And Pitbull, you could tell he always had his stance ready, but he wasn't like with fist up. He just had his stance in case something happened. And so the more and more he talked, the more that this guy was getting scared. And he said to him, he goes, so what do you know? And he goes, oh, I know jujitsu, da-da-da. He goes, oh, well, who's your master? And he goes, oh, I've never heard of that guy. That's interesting. Like, he keeps talking this guy the story. And so Kevin's like, hey, Pitt, come on, let me go. He goes, so after the thing, he goes, well, I've never heard of that guy, and I've been studying for a long time. So here's what you can do. You can take one shot at my cousin Kevin because he probably deserves it. But after that, you're going to fight me. And then the guy freaked out and said, hey, you know what, man, it's all good. No problem. We'll just go our own separate ways. So I'll always remember that. Such a great story. And Kevin, I hope you remember that story too. It's awesome.
It's
so good.
Kevin, still down with audio?
They need to touch the gear next to the X.
Oh, you guys might want to go to that gear next to the X. Kip, you there?
I don't know why.
Wow, am I the only one with the...
Can you hear me, DB?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Let's bring Ray back in and see if...
Yeah, can you hear me?
There you go. Okay, Kip's back. I'm surprised why the boys are not back.
Yeah. I was going to ask Tony. I was going to ask Tony, but he's not there. Denny, the year that you and Tony won, was that the year that he was having so many back problems, but he just kept playing anyway? Like, Joey would work on him between games, then he just kept going back out there and killing it? Do you remember that, Tony?
Yeah, but I don't know that I remember having to get worked on, but you could be right. Joey saved me a few times for sure.
Yeah. I just remember
love that guy.
At the time, I was thinking, we were like in our 20s and you were in your 30s, but I was thinking like, oh, he's getting old, All of us were so young. And I remember thinking, Jesus, you just kept running back on the court and killing it. And then in between having somebody work on you. And, the other thing I was going to point out is that there were so many great B players that were women as well, that some of them won, some of them win, the championship, but they were also an incredible pick for some of these guys to have, Tiffany and Linda Nelson and
Donna Gerard,
and Mimi and Barbara Barnes. Yes, Michael?
Linda Nelson was the one who won.
Yeah, she did.
I was the one who broke through and won 85. Pretty sure. Pretty sure.
Can you hear us? Yes.
Oh, there it is. Can we hear you guys a little bit?
It sounds like you're looking over your mouth.
What's that?
Tony, we're going to bring somebody in who may have been the fastest. You in your prime were very fast. We're going to bring somebody in that may have been the fastest player ever at the VBC. Not that it counted on a 20 by 20 square, but he was probably the fastest VBC player maybe ever. Let's bring him back in. There he is.
Yes.
The producer, Ray Castro.
Ray Castro. I like it.
Hey, Castro.
Ray was fast. Ray had to guard me sometimes in the turkey bowl. He was a worthy opponent.
Oh, now he's muted. Yeah.
And very smart. And I was just trying to be athletic as I could. But there were some good times. You caught a lot of passes in front of me. I will say that.
I think one of the great things about playing sports with my brother Dan, with cousin Mark, and with my cousin Tony is that work ethic that got handed down to all of us has to do with wanting to win, but also wanting to be inclusive, like you were talking about the way you coach, Tony. And anytime I've ever been your teammate in anything, it's always calm in the huddle, and it's always like, okay, you understand that play? You see what you're going to do? I'm going to go there. You're going to go here. And it's like this work ethic thing that's inclusive instead of like telling us what to do. It's like it's telling us you can do this.
Yeah.
And that's a totally
but as nice as you saying that, the Michael's son Rowdy's calmness now, the Bully Boys and their calmness at match point, on game point, match point, a beautiful pass. I mean, stuff like that. Yeah, takes it to a whole nother level, and that's a really big trait in sports, is to be able to be calm in a huge point.
Yeah,
so good. We have family members that are that good. Will Montgomery was great. Hayden Parker, all the Bully Boys were so good.
Yeah, I remember
even your boys, the Turkey Bowl. I think they've stepped up. They weren't intimidated at all. They performed.
No, they're like.
So it's great to see.
It's kind of like us with our band on the times when we've played huge festivals, like 60,000 people or whatever. You know, it's not very often, but the times we have, people are like, "Are you scared?" And it's like, "No, why? We're born to do this. Like, now we finally get to do this." So in a way, all of our kids and our cousins and people that have been raised with this work ethic, they're sort of like they work the ball because they want the chance to be able to do this because we've encouraged them all this time, you know. And there's like that calmness thing, I think.
That's great.
It's true.
Hey Tony, I didn't want to interrupt, but Vaughn, my son, just called and he noticed
there's another one. Sorry for omitting him.
And he represented his country in a foreign land. But that aside, I want to call on that group of boys that maybe this VBC needs to get restarted in some way, somehow. And the Rowdies, the Parkers, and the Vaughns, and the Connors, they got to ramp this thing up. I mean, we're doing what we can here, but we need that,
Denny,
right?
Denny.
Yes. Oh, good. You're
Denny.
back. Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, I think you taught Rowdy how to set up the courts too, right?
Yes, that's right. He came up in the most difficult 100 court tournament where Rowdy just did nothing but hustle.
He could sleep on a dime and then get up and sprint somewhere.
He could sleep. he could sleep. That's so true. He'd be dead asleep, and then we'd be like, Rowdy, court 75, and he would sprint all the way there.
Love it.
That was good. Who's being safe in this lower quad here? Is Michael protecting Kevin, or is Kevin protected by Michael in this scenario?
We've already crossbreeded a little bit before, and nothing happened. So
it's true.
Fair game.
Plus, I have a Budweiser mask.
Plus, if you're gonna go down, it'd be really fun just hanging out together.
So, you guys, on that note, Tony, I want to thank you again for coming on, being my special guest. I appreciate that a lot.
You bet. Thank you, Ray.
86.
Cheers.
86.
86.
Bam.
Cheers.
Bam.
All right, Danny, I think that's it. I think
Ray, you pulled it off.
We got it all.
Hey, Ray, you pulled it off.
It was a little rough, but I think we pulled it off.
Yep.
So I'd like to thank everybody that showed up. And those of you who are watching, I hope you were entertained. And that's it.
50 Shades of Ray. Thank you, Ray.
You got it.
Lonely days are gone, I'm coming home. Sports Stories is on at 5. Well, I don't care how much money I gotta spend, got to watch Sports Stories again. Lonely days are gone, I'm coming home. Sports Stories is live at 5 on YouTube. Sports Stories with Denny Lennon. Catch it at 5 on YouTube.
Sports Stories with Denny Lennon is supported by the AAU. Find a local event and join at aausports.org. And remember, you can catch your favorite amateur sports live stream, replays, and highlights at ballertv.com. Sports Stories, along with East Bay, supports the Heroes Movement, a nonprofit that bridges the gap from mental or physical therapy to getting strong again through strength and conditioning workouts. This free service is available for any veteran of the United States Armed Forces. Visit heroesmovementusa.org for more information. Sports Stories, along with thousands of people across the country, also supports the My Stuff Bags Foundation, a nonprofit that provides traumatized children with new belongings and new hope. Learn more at mystuffbags.org. Sports Stories with Denny Lennon is a production of Sports Stories, Inc. and is available on Apple Podcasts and YouTube or wherever you listen and watch. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and give us a review. It really helps spread the word. You can find all our social media links, archives, and other info on our website at sportstoriespodcast.com. Special thanks to the John R. Wooden Course and Wooden's Wisdom. Original music for Sports Stories is courtesy of Lennon Music Productions. Original images by Sienna Lennon Photography. Sports Stories is produced by Christine Jimbo and Marley Rice. Sports Stories is edited by Bob McCall. Additional staff include Ray Castro, Teresa Dolan, Jake Downey, Carlos Haro, and Buck Magic Lennon. Kick it out, Buck!
Yeah, kick it out. Kick it out. Yeah, buddy. Way to kick it out. Good job.
Oh, hi, kids. Oh, wait, who else is here?
We good? Denny, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's still on. But we're just live to everybody.
I can.
Not live to everybody. It's like talking on a Zoom right now. You okay, Ray?
West Side.
Ray had a there you go.
West Side.
Ray had a heart attack. Okay.
50 Shades of Ray.
You're watching us right now? Hey, they're
Yeah.
watching us right now. We're live on YouTube. Still?
Still?